Springbok fight back in the second half, and Romania awaits. Hi, everybody. My name is David Midgley, and alongside me for this next episode of Crash Ball, Otto Ozmaster Simon, Ken Borland, and the debutant Nathan Gorgella. It is a week in which the Springboks have a victory under their belt, and the changes ahead of Romania await us as well. So good evening to all of you. Let me start right at the top. Otto Ozmaster, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm very well, thanks. And you? Good afternoon and good morning to you, wherever you are in the world listening to us. Thank you so much for your support. We do appreciate it. Right, so let's get straight into it. 18 points to 3. Checkers 60-60 versus Scotland.
Ken, what did you make of that Springbok performance? If you could sum it up in some words for us.
Yeah, I can use some words, I guess. Yeah, look, it was a frustrating first half. Certainly, the Springboks clearly seemed dominant, but just couldn't convert. Scotland came back really strongly in the last 10 minutes, and at 6-3 at half time, you were kind of worried that it might be one of those games where Scotland score a breakaway try, and then suddenly they're in front, and then Springboks have to chase the game. And it could have got really tough and really fraught. But the Springboks really came out brilliantly after the halftime break, really lay down a marker in terms of their pack, physically dominating the Scots. And the defence was superb. And a comfortable victory in the end. And I think a very good one. I think Scotland are a good team. And I think Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus & Co. will be pretty relieved to have got over that hurdle.
Nathan, that Springbok first half performance, yeah, it was one that the Springboks weren't exactly convincing, were they? I mean, that penalty right before halftime, the scrum penalty, perhaps a bit of concern for Springbok fans. What did you make of that arm wrestle in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it, the scrum, the penalty scrum penalty against the Boks. I think Don Newman did have his chat with the boys at halftime. He didn't mention exactly what he said. I'm assuming it was just adult talk there for the Boks. I mean, yeah. So I think they came guns blazing in the second half. We saw from the first scrum, and then obviously the bench came on with the likes of Ox and Trevor came on for the Boks, which obviously solidify a ground running for the boys. Then obviously we saw that's how they managed to get that 18-3 win against the Scottish side. I mean, Scotland did do well in the first half. They held their own. But yeah, it was a bit shaky in the first half. But second half, obviously, the Bulls pulled it through and obviously coming back with that 18-3 win against Scotland.
Otto, I mean, that plan that the South Africans set out was clear. I mean, if you think of the high balls to put the wings and the fullback under pressure, it clearly was something that they'd sussed out earlier in the week, perhaps an Achilles heel of the Scots. Do you feel like that's the Springboks getting their planning right in terms of how to read and challenge their opposition?
Yeah, I think against Scotland, that kicking game, the fact that we move the advantage line forward like that with the kicking game is a critical element in the Springboks play. So this will be noticed by the opposition teams. So when the Springboks kick the ball, you've got to try and move the ball forward or move the ball wide, because that chasing line is going to smother you and get that territorial advantage that the Springboks are looking for. And they don't mind if you kick it out because they can steal your line-out ball. So I think that's a tactic that worked really well in the second half especially. And we said last time on Saturday morning when we recorded the previous Crash Ball podcast that Scotland's only hope was to have a 15 or 20-point lead going into the last 20 minutes, which they didn't manage. So I think the same, we'll get into the Romania game now, but it's just, once again, you know exactly what's going to happen. The question is how you're going to stop it if you're playing against the Springboks. And you've got this huge forward pack running up on you. You're a winger or a fullback. You've got nobody behind you. You know if you surrender the ball, if you surrender a penalty, it's probably 3 and more probably 7 points against you. So that puts a huge amount of pressure on the back three, and it also puts a lot of pressure on the supporting players to fall back and to make sure that they're behind the ball so that they can support and secure possession. And there's teams that do that well, but I think those teams will probably only meet them maybe in the quarters and the semis. The teams that we're playing now, Romania and Tonga, probably aren't that good at it. And Scotland, they felt that pressure, no doubt, that every time the ball goes up in the air, everybody's sort of, oh no, here we go again, running back, trying to stop the wave going, the green wave going forward. So I was happy with the first half, very nervous because this could have been a real banana peel for the Springboks. It could have been much worse outcome at the end of the day. So happy with the first half, but that second half performance was phenomenal. The Springboks just went up to that next gear and very impressive.
So Mani Libbok, man of the match for the Springboks, and we can understand why. I mean, that no-look cross kick where he's looking in the eyes of Gilchrist and then pinpoint accuracy. I don't think there's many rugby players across the globe that could do that. Normally, you'd have an eye out for the man you're looking to kick for and then look in, or maybe that kind of split screen view. But that was magic for me. I want to ask each of you, who was your player that, if it wasn't for Mani Libbok, man of the match, who would be yours? I'm going to start with Nathan. I'm going to put you under pressure. Who would be your Springbok performer of the match?
Sure, let's not take it away. But Mani Libbok obviously played very well, bar the kicking part. You just saw how he managed to hold his own with that kick. I mean, he's done it before. That's why he can just no look and just kick into space. He's done it many times before for the Stormers and for the Boks as well. So kudos on him. But my man of the match or MVP was Pieter-Steph du Toit. We saw the form he's coming along very nicely. We saw in the 2019 World Cup as well. So again, he's showing the same form that he had in 2019. Now in 2023, he obviously had a bit of a setback with injury. Obviously, it was against Duan van der Merwe, funny enough, and then came along nicely, and then he got that red card. He got banned. But it's good to see that Pieter-Steph is doing very well. Workhorse for the Boks. He complements Franco Mostert very well, nicely as well. We know Franco Mostert can play loose forward, but now obviously moved with Erwin in the locks. So Pieter-Steph is my MVP for the game. He played very well.
Ken?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was actually thinking about it shortly after the match that lately with the Springboks, it's actually been quite difficult to single out a man of the match, which I think is actually a really good thing because it shows that the team as a whole are performing across the board. If you had asked me after the game that I had to give you a name, I'm with Nathan. I would have gone with Pieter-Steph du Toit as well. I thought he was pretty immense. Although Mani Libbok certainly gave us the moment of the game. That kick will be remembered for a long time. And I couldn't help thinking that it was a bit of a nod to the All Blacks and the criticism that the Springboks have had for so many years that we lack skill. That why can't we have the same skill as the All Blacks? And that was a moment for Mani Libbok. Almost arrogant skill that, a Bowden Barrett or a Richie Mo'unga would have been very proud of, if they had managed to pull that off. So that was wonderful to see. And just on Libbok's goal kicking, I mean, I think the Springboks missed a trick in that first half. Instead of giving Libbok long-range angled kicks, which, are not really easy kicks to get his confidence going, we should have been rather kicking into the corners, setting the maul, allowing our forwards to really get at the Scots, to really impose themselves, get that forward dominance going. With our rolling maul, a try is always on the cards. The referee could get impatient with the infringing and give a yellow card. It's just a sort of snowballing of momentum. You get the referee on your side. So, hopefully in the other games, when we've got long kicks, angled kicks, tell Lebok to kick for the corner rather. And then, worst case scenario, maybe you get an easier penalty if you want to take the 3 points.
I'm reminded of a conversation. I don't know. I can't remember exactly who said this. I think it was the Fourie de Pre, Victor Matfield era where they were talking, and John de Villiers, when they were talking about strategies for the end of the game. You're leading by 3. You don't want the opposition to have a chance to attack in broken play because you're not good in broken play. We weren't back then. So I think it was I remember now, it was the Bulls playing against somebody in a semi-final, and the captain was criticized because he actually went for the corner, went for the kill, and then the counter-attack gave the opposition the win. I don't remember who the opposition was. So my point is, the tactic there was to say, kick at goal and miss, and make sure that you kick the ball dead, so that the opposition then has to kick a 22 dropout, and they can't launch a structured attack. They don't get the kickoff from the halfway line; they get the kickoff from the 22, which to me at the time sounded bizarre. But now that you were talking about that, Ken, kick it into the corner, rather keep the field position. That is, it's something that just popped into my head. Because people will say, that Manie Libbok isn't a good kicker. That's not true. You can look at his URC stats. I still say he needs a good sports psychologist to be able to deal with these big games in the Springbok jersey. Maybe he gets used to it as the tournament goes on. I hope he does, because we might need those extra points in other games. But if you're ahead, let him kick, but just tell him, Manie, just kick it into the stands. Don't let them catch the ball and counter-attack, that kind of thing. That could be something that, I don't know, can be an advantage. If you're not slotting the goals, you can play that game. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's just something that popped into my head.
I'll go one further, and I'll tell you what the current thinking is. Unless by kicking a penalty, you take your lead to more than a score away or more than 2 scores away, teams don't want to risk. So if you kick a penalty and now you're leading by 6, teams don't like that, because then the other team gets the kickoff, the restart from halfway. They pump it into your territory. They can put you under pressure in your territory. So you'll see more and more teams now, if they're leading by 3, will go kick into the corner. We'll just try and keep it down there. We don't want to risk, as you say, that sort of counter attack and a try at the other end. So so there are a lot of occasions when kicking for poles actually doesn't make sense. It's actually not the best option. And I remember that game with Dewald Potkida, I think, the blonde. Blonde. I think it was a semi-final against the Brumbies when Jake White was Brumbies coach. And the Bulls were totally dominant, and they turned down so many kicks at poles, not just at the end of the game. And that cost them dearly. And poor old Dewald, who was always such an open, lekker oak. Shame he got abused endlessly for that one.
So and
I think that ended his career at the Bulls as well. Yeah.
I don't want to let you off the hook, or to come on, pick your Springbok of the match. For Sunday, who was Springbok?
Ken, before you carry on, so I just want to touch on that, Ken. You spoke
Nathan, go for it.
What about close moments whereby a team will lead by 2 points and you can see that the game is pretty close? Will you rather go for the touch or rather go for the 3 points, and obviously have that lead as well with getting that 3 points? So considering it's a tight game,
I think a lot of teams will still go for the corner. You're ahead by 2. So if you get a closer penalty, you can take up time. You can then lead by 5, but still that's not enough. If the other team then restarts, kicks into your half, and can pile on the pressure. And I mean, how many games have we seen now that end like in the 85th, 86th minute because you just get advantage after advantage after advantage. So possession and territory is just so key now, especially territory. Guys would rather be in the opposition half leading by 2 than in their own half leading by 5, or even 7 maybe.
And I think it also depends on how you're doing in the lineouts and the scrums. Nathan, just to touch on that as well. If you are dominating the lineouts, if you are stealing every second lineout ball, you might say, okay, yes, let's go for the 5-point lead. Let's put the 3 points on the board and go back to our own 22 and kick the ball out, because we know we can get the ball back. We've got a good chance of retrieving possession from the lineup. So the same scenario when you have a dominant scrum. You actually want your players to knock the ball on certain areas of the field, because you're going to get a scrum penalty. You know you're going to get a scrum penalty, because these guys can't deal with your scrum. So that might be more of a club rugby kind of scenario, you know. But yeah, I think it's with the just the way the teams play. If you're facing a team like New Zealand or Ireland now that can score from anywhere, you'd rather be playing in their 22 and give yourself a chance to defend. Because if they launch an attack and they break one defender, they beat one defender, anywhere in your half, they're going to score.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that has to go through the captain's mind, I think, in those kinds of scenarios. Yeah. That it's interesting. That dynamic, right? No, I'm with Nathan and Ken, Peter Steph. Yeah, if it wasn't Mani Lubbock for that moment, it would be Peter Steph. Hey?
I said it's a bit of an echo chamber in here. You all sound the same.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we need some dissenting voices. Let's say my second choice man of the match would be the Scottish scrum half.
His running meters.
Yeah, I think I would go for the Scottish scrum half. What's his name again?
I said the Springboks too. Now you're playing outside the lines. You want to colour outside. I said green and gold.
Where's your kilt, Otto?
Sheesh.
I'm telling you, he had a great game. He had a great game, that guy. That number 9.
I need an internal investigation here. There's a
I thought that what's his name, man? The Scottish scrum half. He had a good game. He was the one that was sort of marshalling the game. I thought he had a good game. Yeah, White. And then on the other people on the Springbok side, I would say the front row that came on, the substitutions, Frans Malherbe and Stephen Kitshoff and Bongi Mbonambi coming in around the 52, 53 minute mark. They really turned the game for the Springboks as well. Pick any one of those three.
Ox and Trevor.
Yeah.
Other way around, Otto.
Oh yes, other way around. Sorry, I'm looking at the summary here.
When they went off. Yeah. So
Nche, Nyakane and Malcolm Ox. Yeah.
Springboks not conceding a try. Positive for us, or concern that there is a gap for opposition teams to kind of zone in on?
No, listen, if you touch the ball against the Springbok team, you're going to get hammered. We saw that against New Zealand. We saw this again against Scotland. If you come near the ball, you're gone. You're lucky if you're not leaving on a stretcher.
Yeah,
Scotland are one of the best attacking sides going around. So for the Springboks not to concede a try is really a magnificent effort. I mean, they defended superbly.
We need to consider the Scottish backline. I mean, we got Finn Russell. They call him the magician. They call him the magician for no reason. Then you got Hugh Jones, Polotu there in the midfield, and then Duan van der Merwe, who's been performing very well in the Six Nations. We saw that magnificent try that he scored. I think from his own half, jinxing everyone. Obviously scored the try. So it's not like we were facing like a weakened team or whatsoever.
Romania.
But obviously Scotland were obviously coming with form into this game, but unfortunately the Boks were just too strong. And obviously we have Jock Ninaba, who's known to be a defensive coach. So yeah, kudos for the Boks. Scotland, yeah, it's unfortunate.
I was
Mhm.
mentioning to someone over the week that, well, in the days since, that this scoreline is exactly the same as the last scoreline between the Springboks, but 30 points to 15 sounds a lot better than 18 points to 3. It just feels like we've kind of hit our marks better than we did in this game, and yet the result is nearly the same. And we didn't concede a try. I mean, that's got to be something positive that we can take from that, because yes, we had to grind 4 points, but certainly the ultimate result was one that we can be happy with. I think, again, goal kicking question will come up time again. I think we saw Sipolisi defending Moni Lebok, calling it jet. I mean, you would be in those press conferences. What do you make of his defense of Mani Lebok?
Yeah, I think he's showing his leadership skills or characteristics as a leader, backing up his teammates. Obviously, Mani Lebok has been getting a lot of flack from the public. So it was good to see he was showing his character towards the media. You know how the media is. I mean, Ken, as well. They're with you and Eddie Jones. But I mean,
getting invaded there.
But
There's the orange spy again. The orange spy again.
But the media is horrible. But kudos to Kolisi. Kolisi has done a magnificent job on and off the field for the Boks. So yeah, Kolisi is just showing his character as a leader for the Boks.
And just on that, a lot of people only watch Springbok games. I know from people that I talk to, they don't watch the URC games. They don't watch the Stormers playing against Connacht at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. If you don't know now, go and check URC stats for Mani Lebok. He can kick. He's a deadly accurate kicker. He's just not getting things done in the Springbok jersey. He just needs to take that step up. If he can do for the Springboks what he did for the Stormers in the past 2 or 3 seasons, he's going to be a legend of Springbok rugby, bar none. Mornay Steyn, sit down. Percy Montgomery, thank you for your service. Mani Lebok will take over that kind of status as the clinical kicker, the guy who never misses a kick, because that's what he did for the Stormers for 2 seasons. That's why he's in that jersey. So I think it's a bit unfair to. Yes, it might cost us a game. Hopefully, it won't cost us a playoff game, like a quarterfinal or something. But with this kind of attack and defense, we're not as dependent on those 3-pointers as we were. The score could have been a lot worse for Scotland if Mani had slotted those kicks, yes. But could have, would have, should have. Then you're in a different position on the field. Now you're receiving a kickoff and not a 22, like I mentioned earlier. So I don't know. People must just, how many times have you kicked a goal to win a game for the Springboks or for the Stormers? Yeah. Now, before you answer that question, think of what you're saying about a professional rugby player who misses sense of his kicks for the Springboks.
I want to give another example. Bongi Monambi, Malcolm Marks, when they started their career with the Boks, they had a problem with their primary job was to throw in the lineouts, and they had a major problem. Yes, we knew the capabilities as rugby players, but the primary job they couldn't get right. And what was nice as well, Rassie and Jock kept faith in them. So I think that's what we need now for Mani Lebok. And you never know, maybe Mani Lebok could be the next, as you mentioned, Mornay Steyn and Percy and so forth. So I think it just takes time. What's nice, he has a lot of confidence in himself. The players have belief in him. So I think they're obviously not on the right track at the moment. It's not going well for him, or as he imagined it to be for the Boks, but he's a quality player.
And what you also need to talk about when you're talking about Mani Lebok is he's activating his backline a lot better than those kicking fly-offs that we've had in the past. we can now pick somebody like Kurtley Arendse and Makazolo Mapimpi and Jesse Krill and Jesselyn Colby and all those speed merchants on the wing, because they're actually getting the ball and they're getting the cross kicks. Okay, so yes, he might miss 6 or 9 points, but he's creating 15. So, I'd rather have a fly off, because like I've said before, and excuse me if you've heard this before, if you're not going to pass the ball down the back line, pick 2 flankers on the wing so that you can steal the ball when the move breaks down in the midfield, right? Mani Libbok activates your back line and he gives you a chance to score. So go for it, Mani. We're behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Romania game. South Africa taking on Romania at, I think it's 3:00 South African time.
Sunday.
But first.
Okay. Are we talking about this first before Romania?
The lights are back.
I feel like if there's anybody who would know more about this, it's got to be you, Ken. Obviously, we've memed it. But Ken, talk us through this. From what I understand, it actually goes back to his Free State days many years ago.
Yeah.
David O'Sullivan, who co-wrote his memoirs, was talking about this going on for years. And we saw the cones. But what do you make of this, Ken?
Yeah, back in the mid-2000s, Rassie caused a stir because he would sit up on the roof at the Free State Stadium. He tried coloured cards as well as lights, to signal to his players what he wanted them to do in terms of, kick for touch or take a scrum or kick the poles or whatever, and it caused a stir then. I'm not sure how successful it is. I mean, I think a lot of what Rassie Erasmus does these days is actually more about getting into the opposition's head than with his own team. I mean, you see they've got headphones, they've got microphones. There's always someone wired up as a water boy who can run onto the field and give a message. And certainly the reaction to this last weekend, in a way, just proved the point, because as usual, the whole world has gone mad. There's nothing in the rules against it. Coaches from every team are communicating with their players on the field all the time. Typical Rassie Erasmus, he's just found a different way of doing it.
Yeah, people don't like.
No, I love this.
Don't like
when I saw this, I was like, "Go, Rassie!" This is awesome.
Although it's a bit confusing because, is that I presume that's meant to be a yellow light, but then it's also got a red light around the yellow light. So I don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Squid Games: red light, green light.
But I was just thinking about this, Ken. You've got the microphones and stuff, but you don't have a direct line of communication to the captain on the field as a coach. This gives Rassie the ability to signal to the players on the field straight away. No interference, no telefoonkie or whatever, no mixed messages. This is, if I hold up this yellow light with the red thing around it, this is what I want you to do. So I love this about Rassie, and stir the pot. And what you say is completely true. Now the other team's looking at this and thinking, what the hell are they going to do now? So that's great. I love it. Okay, moving on.
Romania.
Our Super Brew leaderboard quickly. Ken, that's you in number 3, I think.
It is
7 out of 8. Yeah, so well done. I'm number 38, I think.
Jeez.
So I'm not even in the top 10.
Maybe like the
Fiji.
Springboks lose the opening game.
Fiji, man, Fiji. We'll talk about Fiji a bit later. So congratulations to Scooter, 8 win points, and beating Top Gun by 1 margin point. So he's at the top of our Super Brew leaderboard. We'll give you the code to join us there. So on to Romania.
Yes, Sunday 3:00. Now I'm going to bring in Ken again because I know that he's got a mind of a steel trap. 1995, Ken in Cape Town, South Africa taking on Romania. Cast your mind that far back. I don't want to give away my age here, but I wasn't really
Yeah.
in a position to watch that game. Talk us through what you remember of that game, Ken, because I know that you
Carry on. I'll be right back.
you've got that stuck. You've got that stuck in the back of your vault.
To be honest, David, I don't remember anything of that game at all because it was an entirely unmemorable game from what I recall. The Springboks struggled. I mean, I think they won 19-3 or something, or 21-3 maybe. People expected them to win by a lot more. I mean, Romania were real minnows back in that World Cup. And I mean, and a very amateur side as well. I mean, the 95 World Cup was the last one where you still had that massive sort of divide between the amateur teams and they weren't allowed to be professional yet, but they were. I mean, it was an entirely forgettable game. I think the dirt checkers played, struggled along. Romania spoiled a lot, and I imagine that the current Romania side will probably be similar. But the Springboks have a lot more of an attacking edge now. So hopefully it will be a more entertaining game than that one was.
Nathan, what are you expecting? I mean, we're going to go through the squads in just a sec, but what are you expecting from South Africa in this game?
Just touching on what Ken said about 95 World Cup, I actually saw PJ Powers on Express. I was in Love and Express a couple of days ago. PJ Powers still looking quite strong. So, yeah, that's pretty impressive.
The world is still in union.
Yeah,
many years later.
It was really cool to see you again. Touching on the game against Romania, obviously we have to take it back to the Ireland game. We saw they got given 80 points, but what was nice as well, how they started. They started with that try. Just obviously everyone was wide awake after the Romania scored that first try. But I mean, I think it will be a runaway for the Boks. It won't be. But obviously, you're gonna show the team list now. But it's different. These guys haven't played together, so it's gonna be a slow start. It could be there we go. It could be a slow start. Could be a fast start. But I think it's gonna take a while for these guys to gel because obviously they haven't played together. I mean, if you look at it, got Grant Williams at wing. I mean, he hasn't played wing for the Boks. Then on the bench you have John Free. He hasn't played hooker for the Boks, or he hasn't played hooker in a 2 or 3 seasons. It's going to be a challenging one for the Boks, but I think we'll take it. But I mean, it's just how they find synergy. They need to find synergy as soon as possible against Romania.
So you can see that's what ahead of you on the screen here. Chair and I'm Klein, Ori van Staar, and Kwagga Smith and Dwayne Vermeulen. And Nathan, you quickly before we went on air were telling us about Malcolm Marx's injury. So what happened there?
So Malcolm Marx got injured training in Toulon, if I'm not mistaken. That's where they're based. That's where the team base is. Nothing has been said regarding what actually happened or the extent of the injury. All we know is that he has gone for scans at this moment. So we just have to wait for scans and see from there. If it does not make it, then obviously we'll have to call up Joseph Dweba. Joseph Dweba has been in the squad, but again, it'll be unfortunate losing Malcolm Monk, such a big player in the team and in the squad as well.
Can I be an antagonist and say instead of calling up Dweba, we call up Andre Pollard? Can I be that guy? Can I be that person? Anyone want to jump in with that fish?
Jacques Nienaber actually said before their departure that, if someone gets injured, it doesn't have to be a fly half or even a backline player for Andre Pollard to be recalled. He did mention it, but he did add, however, that if it's a hooker or a scrum half, well, not so much a scrum half because they've got 4 of them, but if it's a hooker or a prop that gets injured, you'd be a bit more reluctant to replace him with a fly half because it's such a specialist position, So, yeah.
Sure. So,
Yeah,
Marvin, is this the game, or two? I wanna ask Otto here. Is this the game where you kind of just let your spare players get some game time? Is this the Namibia of 2019 type game?
yeah, most definitely. Romania, I don't know much about them. They are a tier 2 nation, as we say in cricket. I'm not sure what you call them in Test rugby terms. They are they're sort of trying to get a second string Six Nations going. They're trying to get some more teams into that competition. I would say let the guys who will be on the bench for the rest of the tournament, let them play as many minutes as you can, because this team can beat most teams in rugby. If you look at our squad, the depth of the Springbok squad is impressive at every position. And as Ken mentioned earlier in this podcast, it's difficult to pick a man of the match in the Springbok team because everybody's doing their job and doing it so extremely well that when they do actually substitute players, you think to yourself, that guy was doing fine. Why is he being, why is he being pulled off? He was doing great. It's about game time. It's about managing players, managing health, managing their confidence. This will be a big confidence builder for this team. I picked the box by 30 plus for this match. I think it might probably be more than that. I think if you hang yourself out on a limb and you go for a 60, 70 score, you might get some margin points there on the Super Group. So let the players that are holding the tackle bags or whatever you want to call it, the dirt trackers, let them have a go and show what they can do. Because this team could have beaten Scotland, I would say.
Oh, brave statement, Nathan. I want you to kind of touch on that backline where the change is a little bit more surprising. All 4 scrum halves in the match day 23. I mean, Grant Williams, we've seen his speed. There's no doubt about it. But do you think there's a bit of a plan here, or is it just let's just squeeze guys into game time? Is it a lot more nuanced than I'm trying to maybe see to it?
You mustn't forget as well, when the Boks play their 6-2 split, they normally have the 2 backline players. What normally happens, they will have Grant Williams and an outside back, for example, could be Damon Willemse, for example. And then it could come down to a wing being injured, and then all of a sudden Grant Williams has to play wing. So I think this is perfect for him, whereby they can see exactly what he has there at wing. Grant Williams has played there before obviously at school. School is different to international
rugby. Yeah.
But I mean, I saw the article media release from SA Rugby or the Springbok camp. Just Grant Williams obviously has played there before in high school, but I mean it's different. But again, there's a bigger picture to it. Just moving forward, just to see what he has at wing. I will obviously be keeping a close eye on Grant Williams' performance at wing. He isn't the slowest. Apparently, he's the quickest in the team, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then you've got a nice player to recycle possession when the movements break down in the back line.
100%.
So let's jump. Oh, I don't know if Ken's trying to jump
bench.
in his audio. I think Ken is muted there. I think he's trying to help us.
I
there,
am muted.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Self-inflicted.
Should we go back to the team sheet there, Ken?
No, you can keep it here because I just wanted to point out they're not only 2 scrum halves in the back line, but they're 2 scrum halves on the bench as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So Tufty Clerk is clearly fly half replacement, I guess. This whole team, what strikes me about this team is pace. Look at that loose cheer. You've got Marco van Staden and Kwagga Smith, who are both, incredibly quick loose forwards. They're real foragers. Dwayne Vermeulen might not be so fast anymore, but he also brings huge pressure at the breakdown. So that whole loose trio is just so powerful when it comes to the breakdown. And then you've got Dion Fourie and Stephen Kitsoff on the bench as well, who both are known for their breakdown prowess. So I think we're going to try and really speed the game up. Romania might try and spoil things at the breakdown, but we've got a lot of pacey guys there who can really put a spanner in that plan.
I hope that Romania have been doing their cardio, because they're going to be blowing their lungs out by the 50th minute.
Yeah, sorry, just to touch
Nathan,
on that, in the media release that was sent with the 23 that was named against Romania, it was mentioned that Faf de Klerk was obviously a Flav cover. That hence why he's there at on the bench at 22, obviously as a Flav cover, just to see what he has as well. But yeah, so I think for this game it's versatility, pace, and physicality. I think those are the three things that this Bok team has for this weekend against Romania.
Once again, no dissenting voices. The echo chamber is vibrating and reverberating around the world, hopefully. Any dissenting voices? Any criticism of this team?
So yes, I might do so. But before we get there, I don't want to slip up by not reminding our listeners and our viewers to subscribe, like us, ring the bell so that you know when we're going live for all of our games, because we want you to also jump in and share your thoughts with us. As much as this is a game against Romania, I would love to have seen Frans Malherbe really come in and maybe not get a reprieve, but I just felt that he struggled in that first half before he was replaced, and I would have loved to have seen Frans Malherbe playing in this game to really just dominate the scrum, to kind of return that confidence. Not that he lacks confidence, I just think he struggled a little bit. And my only concern as well is Stephen Kitsoff has been playing a lot of rugby, and 100%. I know we don't have the luxury of rotating props, but when I saw Kitsoff again, and yes, he's on the bench, but he's still going to be expected to do 20 minutes to, half an hour's worth of work. It's a lot of rugby he's been playing. And if there was ever a time to rest him, it's probably this game ahead of Ireland, because you imagine that he will be the starting number one jersey. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about is the amount of rugby he's been played.
Workload, yeah.
So are you saying have Inyakane as your reserve Lucid?
Yes.
Okay. Because Vincent Koch obviously needs a run. And
yes,
I was actually
definitely. That's no doubt.
I was very impressed with Trevor Inyakane in his 20-25 minutes against Scotland.
Yes.
I thought Vincent Koch might have been ahead of him in the pecking order. But Trevor was really good when he came on. So it's good to reward him and keep that momentum going, I guess.
Yeah, just a word from camp as well. I'm not going to mention who told me, but it's obviously from a reliable source within the camp. Trevor Nyakane has conditioning wise has is improved conditioning wise in terms of skin fold and fitness as well. So yeah, it's good for him.
Stay away from Springbok fitness trainers. They get you in trouble, Nathan. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to throw it out there. We can move on. I'm just throwing shade out there and moving on. This is what
Too soon. Too soon.
Isn't it dietitians and dietitians really
fitness trainers? I'm just as a matter of caution, you can see that I'm kind of, trying not to step on it. But let's move along here. The Springbok prediction, gents. I want you to put your money where your mouth is before we get into the ladies. Give me just quickly your score for the weekend, and I'm going to start with Otto Ozmaster. You said by 30 points. Give me numbers, please, quickly.
Let me check. I can quickly confirm for you that I did pick. Let's see.
Romania by 12, right? That's what you said that you're going to go with.
From 38th to
Because he was
40th.
supporting Scotland.
I'll give
Who
you
knows?
the exact numbers. I'll give you the exact numbers now. I said
I'm putting
South
this on
Africa by
Super Bowl.
29.
42-12.
29 against Romania.
Okay. So give me numbers.
Because I think that, I think that's a conservative estimate. I think that Romania might be, I'm saying again, Romania might be up for this game. They're going to try and get up our noses. They're going to get up our noses. They're going to try and play a bit of negative rugby around the breakdowns. They're going to try and slow the game down because of the fast players that we picked. So I say South Africa by 29. They'll probably blow that out, but I'd say that's my number, and I'm sticking to it. 29 to the box against 29 over on Romania. Yeah.
Nathan, give me a scorecard.
I'll say 60 points. 60 points.
60 points
60.
difference. Okay.
60 points difference.
Okay. Ken?
Well, I haven't made my Super Brew picks yet, and I'd hate to give away secrets
inside
to the
track because you're
opposition.
in third place.
Who's the
Number 3.
I'm in the running. I'm third. It's high stakes. High stakes. Besides, I mean, a lot depends who the referee is. Who is the referee? Does anyone know?
We can pull that up for you.
Okay, but I mean, I would think it's going to be
Maturana, French.
The Frenchman.
Mathieu Reynal. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he's normally quite kind to us. You know, I would hope that it was somewhere. It would be somewhere in between Otto and Nathan's predictions. I'd imagine
50 points.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Come see, come sa.
Once I do my Super Brew picks, though.
Okay. I will nail down. Fine. Be like that. Be coy with us, Ken. Right, ladies rugby. As we look to wrap up,
David, you must tell us your predictions as well.
No. You know, as host, you've got to facilitate your team. You've got to lay up.
Yo, God, my Scott, give us your predictions.
And who was your man in the match against Scotland?
So I want
let's
to
go.
point to Jasper Wiese. I think most people would have expected Dwayne Vermeulen to start that game, and I think what people didn't actually see is Jasper was the one who turned the ball over at ruck time to get any look that you need to kick to Kurt Lawrence in the corner. So for me, Jasper Wiese really stood out. I think he outdid himself as he continues to do. I think that's something positive for the Springboks to look at. That's who my positive man was. And then for scores, I think South Africa will break 50. I'd love to see 100 scoreline. I really would, but I don't know if we'll get that far.
Yeah, we don't know enough about Romania and their players. We haven't done enough homework, probably.
They've done well against Georgia. I have had a look at them. They did fairly well against Georgia. They've kind of grown in leaps and bounds, but I just think, of course, when you're 19th in the world compared to the Springboks who are second, the gulf in talent is there. I mean, even when South Africa have played, Italy at the back end of last year, it's too big, the gap.
Yeah, and then just to look at, how many players are fully professional, how many players are playing in the top teams in Europe, anywhere else in the world for that matter, and how many players are semi-professional. And I always look at the bench when you making predictions about the game. So I can't see. I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that most of these players are in the sort of lower leagues in Europe, and they're not playing for the big teams. They're not playing in the big competitions. Probably 2 or 3, I would guess, that have big contracts with big teams, probably in the front row with the wrestling culture in that part of the world. You probably have some big units running around there in the forward pack. I don't know. we might eat our badly chosen words after this weekend, and we beat Romania by 2 or something. We'll see, and then we might
Hopefully
be
not
more
a repeat
interested
there,
in
Tom.
their players.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So this weekend,
Any other thoughts before we move on to the Springbok Women and the talking points that we've got lined up?
No, all good for me.
Okay, so we've got our score predictions locked in on the McInterwebs. We don't edit this podcast, so you can rest assured that this was recorded as is verbatim. So, if you are in the Western Cape area, yeah, go for it, David.
4:30 this Saturday as the Springbok Women take on Kenya. We spoke about it in the last podcast, but just a reminder for you of the games, and maybe just take this opportunity to pause ahead of these encounters, because if you're in that side of the world, I think it's important that you go support. Lovely to see the ladies training in black kit. Why can't the men get nice things like that? I mean, you know, we out here looking like somebody's spearmint. I think that's something that's angered a lot of fans, and I think let's get into it a little bit with we don't have a lot of time, but let's get into it with our talking points.
Yeah, so there are the fixtures for the ladies in the upcoming few weeks. So please go and support them if you are in that part of the world, in the Western Cape. That game on the 16th, Springboks are playing on Sunday. Be there if you are at the UWC area. They're going to take on Kenya. And then the big one, the 23rd of September, man, I wish I could be there. But Barbarians taking on the Springbok Women. That's going to be absolutely awesome. The best players in the world against our best players. And great to see the Barbarians running out in the women's game as well. That's awesome. Right. So, first off, GNAWTOTS. Let's go back. Yeah.
So just touching on
fixtures. So Kenya and the Barbars are actually warm-up fixtures for what is actually a massive new tournament for our Springbok Women. It's called the WXV Women's 15 World Rugby Competition.
15s,
yeah. We in the sort of second division of that. But it's a massive competition now that will ensure our women get regular competition against, you know, teams sort of 5 to 10 in the world at the moment in our division. You know, if we win that division, we get promoted to the top tier. So it's a massive thing for our women's team now to have regular top class competition in a tournament under that pressure. You know, teams like Scotland have been professional probably for longer than us. Samoa, Italy, they're going to be good sides. So it should be a really, really good tournament. And just to echo what you said, for people in the Cape to go and support the games, and for the rest of us to watch on TV.
Yeah, just touching on what Ken said, just a preview on the women's team. Currently, they are based up north. They've been on a safari. They played against the Lions. They had a practice match against the Lions women's team. Today they had a paintballing, team building kind of activity. So I think they're in good spirits at the moment. They've brought in more additional players in the mix, so we might see new faces in that first game against Kenya.
Absolutely, and this is one of the things that we're going to be focusing on in this Crashball podcast. We're reaching out to some of the other areas of South African rugby and just trying to highlight these kind of things that people aren't really aware of all the time. Okay. You've got the fixtures there, no excuses. If you're in the Western Cape area, if you can make your way there, and please be sure to make a big noise if these games are not broadcast on the monopoly broadcaster, shall we call it. Anything else on the women's team?
Talking points.
Right.
I think time for talking points. Let's talk.
Okay, so GNAWTOTS, thank you very much for Super Brew giving us that awesome pool code. If you want to join our Super Brew Rugby World Cup prediction pool, that's the code. And then we highlighted the women, the Barbarians game. That's going to be huge. If they don't broadcast that, I'm going to lose my stuff.
Patience.
And then the Western Cape Club Rugby results. They are the only club rugby league that I've been able to find online. So Ken, if you know some people in the club rugby scene, please tap them, get them to send us their stuff, update their websites so that we can comment on that. So we had some results last Saturday. UWC lost to Marties and Helderberg beat Durban last Saturday on the 9th. So we said this in the last podcast that this was a semi-final. It wasn't. It seems to be that these are league games that they're catching up on. And so on this Saturday, the 16th, Marties will take on Union Miles today, right now, as we're recording this, and then UCT versus Helderberg on the 16th, which is Saturday. So once again, go out and support your club rugby teams if you can in that area. And if you are listening from the other club rugby leagues around the world, around South Africa especially, please let us know where we can get some tables. I've been trying to find out about the Carlton League, Blue Bulls Rugby Union, crickets, once again. Deathly silence was the loud reply. If you've got any contacts in those spaces, please let us know. I still need to tap the guys that I still know from that scene. Then we talked about injuries. Eben Etzebeth out with an injured shoulder. 7 to 10 days is the prognosis there. They will be doing some scans. That was reported on Monday. And then also, as Nathan, I just added that quickly, Nathan, Malcolm Marks injured in training today, which is the 13th, Wednesday. Any thoughts on those before we move on to the last two?
Club rugby scene, Gold Cup. I think top 16 now. The top 16 teams, North and South divisions, moving on to the top 16. All those games will be live or be played this weekend from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday. So exciting fixtures for the North and South in the Gold Cup.
Have you got some venues for us for people to go and watch? Do you know?
Or maybe
sorry to put you on the spot, but I think this is important that we try and highlight the club rugby scene as well.
Sure, I know False Bay is playing on Saturday at 3:00, but I'm just going to try to find out the other teams. Oh yes, here we go. Round of 16 fixtures. North Raiders, Richards Bay Lions, going up against Bloemfontein Police at 3. Past 3, Wolverines, based in Leopards region, playing against Harlequins of the Blue Bulls. 4:00, Northern Riders, Limpopo region, playing against Sasol Secunda of the Pumas. Another 4:00 fixture, Springs of the Falco, playing against Nakabilla of the Blue Bulls. And in the South region at 3:30, False Bay of Western Province, play against Westbank from Boland. So nice derby there.
Awesome.
Then Progress is playing against of the EP or Eastern Province, playing against East London Police border region. Then Crusaders of SWD play against PE Harlequins EP in George. College Rovers of Sharks play against Saldanha on Sunday. Yeah.
Right, so those are all home team first, right?
Home team first, yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. So if you are in the area in any of those games, thank you so much, Nathan. I think we might ask you to just send us the links to those sites where you got that information, and we can post it in the video description, if you don't mind. Share that, and then we'll try and update people. Right, so the Checker 6060 Breathment Springbok away kit. That's the next one we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. My daughter said the first time she saw the Springbok photo, they look like Breathments. Where did that turquoise come from? Does anybody know?
Nike.
Could be
Sell jerseys.
Nike. I'm not sure.
To sell jerseys, because there's never been one that color before. So now everyone has to go and buy one.
Ah,
I don't know
okay.
how many fans are running. I don't know if you guys saw some of the memes around some of the Checkers plastic packets that people were donning to say this is my
Kids, yes,
Springbok
that's
away kit. I don't
kids.
know if you've
Yes.
seen some of those memes. It's absolutely
I
brilliant.
was in Checkers this afternoon wearing this, the classic green and
The
gold.
green and gold, yes.
And someone came and abused me. Someone said, "No, mate,
Yeah.
you're wearing the wrong colours. Those are the old colours now. You meant to be, Checkers, bloody aquamarine and yeah."
Listerine. Yeah, but the thing is, I think Checkers, they sponsor. Well, there was a sponsor thing on the bottom there when the Boks were playing. I'm not sure if it's Checkers 6060.
I don't think it's coincidental. The same with the FNB logo. I don't think it's coincidental.
Yeah.
It's the same as Iwisa claiming the snow in Joburg. I mean, it's marketing genius at its finest. That was brilliant meme. So I think it's the team's seen marketing teams thought, you know what, this is my time to shine.
Yeah.
And yeah, why not? But we will see green and gold this weekend, which is crucial.
Really? Definitely?
Yeah, because Romania are playing in yellow, right? So no
All white.
no colorblind
So
confusion there.
World Rugby will go, those are both dark or they're both light, and they're going to make us change again. What?
Yeah, that might be true. And it was interesting because the app that we use, the API that we use to get the live scores, actually listed the Springboks in this previous match as the home team. So we might need to look at that as well. I don't know how they deciding these home away.
We were the home team.
We were the home team. So we.
Yes.
I also heard there's a toss.
Scotland should have played in their whites, and we should have played in the green and gold. Anyway,
but does the toss determine what your kit is? Surely not, because the Springboks and Scotland lined up for their team photos in their away kit, both lighter kits.
Mm.
Do you bring both kits to the game?
Look, it's a fiasco all around. I mean, World Rugby just remains the most amateurist association that you can imagine. I mean, you're dealing with multi-million-dollar brands here. All Black jerseys, Springbok jerseys. Name me one other sport where they would go, no, you can't wear your trademark flippin' valuable brand.
Your home kit, at your home
we'd
game.
rather put you in some ridiculous thing that's going to last 1 year. And hopefully never to be seen again.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments if you know who makes these decisions. Is it the World Rugby? Is it the...
So
obviously, somebody's saying, yes, okay, let's go for it. That is how it's going to go down.
World Rugby issued an edict that from now on in international matches for colorblind people who suddenly seem to have started watching rugby, because I've never heard of this being a problem before.
Exactly.
You have to have one team playing in a dark jersey, and the other team has to play in a light jersey. Okay, so that's the.
But that was the same when it was black and white TVs. It's not a new thing.
No, the Springboks used to have a white jersey with black.
Nike are responsible for the design, though.
Yeah.
So we could have just played in a white jersey,
White jumper with black shorts. Yeah, take it really old school, some retro there.
Shorts, or gold shorts.
No.
Let's not even touch on the national anthems, because that's also been a debacle of note. I hear that although that they're going to re-record, what's wrong with just an orchestral, the Paris Philharmonic or the Lyon Philharmonic recording the national anthems as you do. Let the people sing their own national anthem. But when it sounds like that you've just picked a random group of people to sing national anthems, no national anthem other than the French contains French, and you'll forgive me if I'm wrong here, So cool. Get the French to sing their national anthem.
But they
then
messed that up as well.
Yes, that's the thing, is they blundered
I
their own
was
national anthem.
waiting for that anthem. I love that anthem. You know, that's one of the great anthems.
Le Marseillaise, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Marseillais.
Marseille, forgive me. Forgive me. Right. So, Otto, were you right about Wales Fiji? Because that game was full of drama right until the end. Some serious pressure on Matthew Carley. But what do you make of that game, Otto? You predicted it. What do you think?
Yeah. So the question is to you three guys. I said last on Crash Ball 3, I said Wales and Australia are going to fight to be second in this pool. Fiji dropped the ball, literally. They could have won that game against Wales. They probably would think that they should have. So that sort of busted the whole thing up for me a little bit. I still think that Fiji have a good chance to top this pool. I think they can mangle Australia. And I think that Wales and Australia will be lucky if they get through along with Fiji. So,
Australia's got a
was
few.
I right or was I right?
Nate,
Australia's got a few Fijians in the team.
I think Australia are going to be very, very squeaky bum time. They're going to be worried because, Otto, I agree with you. Fiji are a hell of a side. And some controversial refereeing there at the end, just in terms of cards. And Wales not getting cards. That's a very, very competitive pool. That so Wales have scraped through, but Australia will not be looking forward to playing Fiji. And Wales and Australia then also could become a really, really fraught game. That's a great pool, that one.
Whoever loses the Wales-Australia game will be going home because I think Fiji will be beating Australia this weekend.
That's what you guys said against Fiji Wales, and obviously Wales beat Fiji. So, just saying.
That was the hardest game.
Barest of margins.
Any final? Yeah.
By the barest of margins.
That's it. Okay.
Final thoughts, gents.
Anything else that you guys need to talk about that you think our listeners would enjoy?
Just we're going to put 60 points against Romania.
60 points against Romania. Okay, so you're upping your 50 to 60.
I did say 60. It wasn't 50 or 60.
You said 60. Okay, all right.
I could be deceiving the public as well. Yeah, I could be deceiving the public just for 60 points.
Show your orange light, and then we won't know what you're doing. So thank you, all of you, for joining us for this edition of Crash Ball. Thank you, Ken and Nathan, for hopping on with us. It's absolutely a privilege to have you with us. And thank you also to the listeners who have joined in. Don't forget, Sunday, 3 o'clock, the Springboks. Oh, there you go. Ken's got his lights. The Springboks take on Romania at 3 o'clock. We'll be live from a little bit before that. And don't forget to like, subscribe, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're all there. Like this video. Comment down below. What do you think we got right? What do you think we got wrong? And we look forward to see you on Sunday as South Africa put the Romanians. So my name is David May, Ken Paul, Nathan Gogela, and Otto Ozmaster Simon have been my partners. From all of us here at One World Sports Radio, thank you and good night.
Bye-bye.